here's a question I get all the time from survivors. How can I get the narcissistic person to leave me? Well, this is a tricky topic. Listen, I know many people, I'm sure you do too, many people who were left by their narcissistic partner or narcissistic spouse, and they found it devastating. They felt abandoned, they felt rejected, and in the vast majority of intimate relationships in which the narcissistic person is the one who leaves, trust you me, they have already lined up their new supply and have them in place. So they can tell the world and sell the world on a fictional narrative of like, you're not going to believe it. It's such a coincidence. The day after I left my wife, it was fate. I couldn't believe it. I met the love of my life. Of course there was no overlap. I know it's hard when you're left by a narcissistic person. And it's especially hard that if at the time of the breakup, you didn't understand what narcissism was. You may have felt like you've lost a good partner, that you just had a complicated relationship. And this can really feel bad when the narcissistic person who's leaving is a grandiose narcissist. That said, as awareness about these personalities and relationships proliferate, many people pray every night before they go to bed, please, oh please, take this person out of my life. Listen, some of you have the fantasy, like a pretty well elaborated fantasy, that they'll meet someone else and leave you. And you'll be heroic and say, I understand that you found new love. And you're like, yeah. Some of you have the fantasy that the narcissistic person's job will get transferred and you won't be able to go with them. Some of you have the fantasy that you will even win the lottery. I've heard this one, that you'll win the lottery and give them so much money that they won't be mad when you break up with them. Some of you maybe even have the fantasy that they'll just pass away. Not that you're going to hurt them, but that they'll just pass away. People have car accidents, right? Don't shame yourself for this thinking, because I know people feel guilty, but when you feel this kind of helpless, this sort of thinking is not unusual, right? Now, this idea that somehow the narcissistic person will smoothly parachute out of your life with as little friction as possible is very common for people in these relationships. You wonder, why is this? Well, a lot of this dream that they'll just leave and the stress will be gone, it relates to the realistic fears about how difficult it is to break up with a narcissist, the post-separation abuse, all of it. Narcissistic people do not like being left. They have a lot of rejection sensitivity. They have abandonment issues. They don't like losing power. They don't like losing control. They don't like losing their control of the narrative. It may ding the image they want to put forth to the world. They may even like the setup they have with you, even though you're miserable and even though they're not nice to you. They just may like the setup. They may not want to share their finances with you in a divorce, whatever the reason. So if they don't want to end the relationship, they will make your life miserable if you do. There is no conscious uncoupling here. This is more like, I wish I was unconscious uncoupling. No conversation where you calmly come together and talk it out and talk about how we've gone in separate directions. When a person decides to leave a narcissistic relationship, we commonly see revenge, vindictiveness, smear campaigns, reputational harms, the use of legal abuse, the get to the friends and family before you do maneuver, custody battles, tech abuse and surveillance. Again, there may be all kinds of abuse and divorce proceedings. There may be stalking and social media craziness. There may be endless angry texts and emails to the point where the sound of a text ping of someone else's phone in a public place that isn't even for you, is enough to set off a panic response in you. It can get to that point. So, yeah, it would feel a lot easier if they would just leave. You might even pretend you're sad. Oh, no, really, you want to leave me? And again, keep that happy dance at a minimum. The question, though, because of this, that many people have asked me is, how can I get them to leave? Or can I get them to leave? It's really not so easy. Some people think up or kind of drum up a big honey trap fantasy, Like maybe I'll plant someone to seduce them and they will want to leave me. It's a stretch. Listen, if the honeypot is honeyful enough, they may go for the seduction, but they may just cheat on you and not want to end it. Some people think that maybe I'll just let myself go. I'll gain weight. I'll just let myself go. I will just look a mess. I won't take a shower, that they won't be attracted to you. That's probably also not going to work. They may criticize you, but still not leave. Some people think that if you keep making it aversive in the relationship, keep asking them to do things that they don't want to do, maybe that would drive them away. Nah. If you do that, they're just going to keep verbally abusing you and telling you that you're selfish and demanding. If a narcissistic person doesn't want to leave, you are not likely to be able to actively set up conditions that would lead them to leave and lessen the likelihood of post-separation abuse and all the shenanigans that come when a narcissistic person's feelings get hurt. So if you are thinking of leaving, listen, let's call that what it is. That's already brave. Just because you aren't ready to do it, I can tell you this after doing this for a long, long time. Once you say it out loud to yourself and even to one other person, something changes within you. Listen, it may take you years before you get out, but something shifts in you. So something like you see it more clearly now. Over time, there may be self-blame. I mean, you start trusting yourself, you start healing within the relationship, even though you are still having to endure the various forms of emotional abuse in these relationships. When you try to heal while you're still in a narcissistic relationship, you're basically trying to heal in the middle of a hurricane raging through a wildfire during an earthquake. It is not easy. The gaslighting, it just simply may not work on you anymore. You know exactly what it is in real time. But that said, it's still exhausting. And sadly, yeah, there may also be a sense of shame in yourself of, why am I not leaving something so terrible? Listen, for a lot of reasons, it may not be the right time. For whatever your reasons are, you don't have to convince anyone of your reasons. Healing means agency. Making the decision that will work for you now, recognizing that that decision may change in a few months, and not just leaving because you feel pressured to do so now that you recognize the narcissistic patterns. At this stage, listen, when you get it and you have radical acceptance, you're no longer waiting for change. You know, this is all good stuff that you're not waiting for that. But the not so good stuff is that it is frustrating and it is exhausting as hell as you try to get there. And then there is the moment that the abuse in the relationship has accumulated to the point that as bad as your fears are about what the post-separation landscape may look like, you recognize it can't be any worse than what you are going through now. Now, people wonder, what is it? Why aren't they leaving? I'm not even good supply anymore. Listen, it's not ever fully clear what makes someone in a specific narcissistic relationship good supply. It's all kinds of things. In some cases, it's optics, and you're part of the optics of the relationship. It could be because you're smart. It could be because you make a mean spaghetti bolognese. It could be because you make them laugh. It could be because they love where you went to college. It could be because they already cheated on you and came to the realization that you were actually the better option. In some cases, it's that they don't feel threatened by you, or that they feel like they've got you figured out and they have you controlled the way you want it. Maybe they have financial control over you. It's different every time. And in some cases, it's really as simple as that their bank account will be bigger if you stay in their life. It's really never about you and who you are. It's about what you can do and what you bring to the table. So basically, you aren't good supply when they decide you aren't good supply. And frankly, if they feel you slipping away, they don't want to lose the control. So you may experience this rather unsettling mix of both hoovering and rage. But traditionally, I've rarely seen the gambit of you making yourself into bad supply, if you will, to try and get rid of them, work, because you often don't know why you were a good supply in the first place. So in general, nah, you can't get them to leave you. It would be nice. It would be nice if any of us could land the narcissistic breakup plane softly. But unfortunately, these endings are often painful and messy crash landings. All I can say is keep the oxygen mask close at hand and don't think you're going to be the exception. It'll be a bumpy ride, but someday you'll feel ready for it when that time comes. But you may not be able to turn them into the person who really is the one who does it. Hope that helps, and thanks again.